Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
Okay, hello. I am Scott and I'm joined by Rob, and we are here for the RNPW Wrestling build-up show for WWE Extreme Rules. We're going to be here for a while. We're going to be predicting the matches, going over the predictions we've already made. We'll be soon joined by Lucas. If you're new here, hey, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Please subscribe. Check out more of our wrestling content. We're part of the Rebellious Noise family. We're many Rebellious Noise channels, and this is the wrestling-specific dedicated channel. Rob, Extreme Rules. Yeah. Are you excited?
Well, I'd be lying if I said yes.
Okay, that's it. That's the end of the show.
Are you?
I always enjoy watching these shows. You know, it's been a while.
Yeah, I'm convinced. I'm very convinced.
Recently went to WWE Live, as did you, and so did Lucas, and we'll get onto that a bit later on. I'm not all wearing this because I'm a super fanboy or anything like that, although I am a big fan of WWE. But yeah, I'm just wearing this because it's topical, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that later on and some news that's come out of it. But yeah, like I think after going to that show, it's kind of, because I'll be honest, you know, how far do we get into the thing before we compare to AEW? Okay, 2 minutes. AEW is really fun at the moment, so there's that. So WWE hasn't been as fun, but there's still good things, and just because you like one doesn't mean you can't like the other. We've gone into gone into this in length on our AEW All Out podcast, but I will say that has made me feel a bit like I kind of can't be bothered to watch some of this stuff until I went to that live show, and then it reminded me of some of the things I thought, man, they can put on a good show, can't they? Yeah. So I'm hopeful that tonight's going to be the same because, again, there's a lot going on in the wrestling world at the moment. So, yeah, hopefully that means there's performances that are kind of worthy of some headlines and some news-worthy things as well, which is my biggest fear, that it's going to be not a very newsworthy show. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those kind of B pay-per-views, throwaway pay-per-views. It's there just to fill a gap in the calendar. I'm not expecting nothing massive, to be honest. I mean, with the predictions that we made, if it's your first time, go back after this and listen to our predictions. Obviously, we'll mention them later on with Lucas. But we didn't really have... a lot of us didn't really say that titles were going to change hands. And I just don't see it happening on a Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Like, if it's going to happen, it's going to be either one of the big four or it's going to be like a Hell in a Cell where it means something. Extreme Rules I just think now it's just a gimmicked name.
Yeah, it's really weird because how can we be saying, like, obviously it's hard to be a B pay-per-view is one thing. But I feel like the way this one's been booked, at least, where they haven't really taken advantage of the fact it's Extreme Rules that much, it feels like a C pay-per-view. Like, really feels like not much is going to happen. So that's a bit worrying. Hey, we're here to build the show up, though, and be excited. But yeah, I'm sure some of our hype's going to build. But at the moment, yeah, I think like you, man, I'm not really that hyped. And it's really weird that a show that is supposed to be based on extreme match types, and again, it's probably because it's quite lacking this time around, but how can that not be a worthy show where you're thinking, man, big stuff's going to happen tonight? It's weird. It's a weird time for it in the calendar as well, coming straight after SummerSlam, and yeah, bit strange.
So I'm still on this thing of stop using match names or match types as pay-per-views. We don't need Hell in a Cell. We don't need TLC. Money in the Bank, I'll allow it. That's acceptable.
Because those shows are usually really good. So, yeah.
But like Hell in a Cell, Extreme Rules, do you know what I mean? Like TLC, stop them. Just bring back Rebellion, Judgment Day, Insurrection, No Mercy. Like, because by doing that, you put their match types in. I just think certain match types now are not. They're not important. I mean, if someone goes into a Hell in a Cell match now, I'm like, oh, well, it's the pay-per-view. Before,
Yeah.
it meant something.
Exactly, and they're exciting when they pop up before, like randomly. I remember like Cactus Jack saying he was going to have a Hell in a Cell match and everybody losing their minds. You know, like that's not the kind of thing that happens anymore. We've mentioned this a few times on the show before on some of our review and recap shows as well. But yeah, I agree with you, man. I think it's really watered down. It's a real shame. Right, I've seen that Lucas is with us in the waiting room. We are ready to bring Lucas in. He's been having a nice Chinese meal, so we're going to ask him what he's been eating. We're joined by Lucas, everyone.
Hi, guys.
Oh, Babe Station's back.
Babe Station's back. Where'd you phone?
Put the number at the bottom.
Well, hold on. How are you, Lucas? You good?
Yeah, I'm very tired. Busy weekend of wrestling. Busy week of wrestling, actually. We include our trip to London the other day.
Yeah, how did your show for DKW go?
Yeah, it was good, to be fair. Like yesterday, we did a charity show as well. It was a charity event as part of a pub for Little Havens Hospice, you know. So, like, yeah, it was a good weekend. Lot of very, very busy, though. And obviously, I think it's tired, poured down out, so we can't be here tonight. But yeah, very fun.
Yeah, okay. Well, we were just talking about, before we move on, do you have any input as far as, match type pay-per-views kind of running their course now? Because we feel like this is not just a B pay-per-view now. This feels like a C pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think they went gimmick happy when they had, obviously, they wanted, because obviously, you know, the pay-per-view buy rates, you know, went down, you know, as the years went on. And they saw that obviously they had attraction matches that had value. And over the years, they kind of let each attraction match kind of slip because they in order to shake things up, they just make things stupid. So, in case in point, DQs and Hell in a Cell now, all of a sudden. You know, chamber matches went from you could pin them outside, you know, on the mesh bit to now the pinfall has to happen in the ring. You know, and so it's tough because obviously everything with the WWE format is very tired, isn't it, at the moment? It's very... You know, it's very just like the alternative or the competitors, whatever you want to call or refer to AEW as, like obviously are doing something completely fresh, and they've scrapped not only the monthly pay-per-view model, you know, could only have 4 large events a year, I think it is, like 4 things on pay-per-view a year. Yeah. But they also scrapped this gimmick idea. You know, it's just a case of, well, we just do shows that are, you know, named or whatever, and we do those over and over, you know, and just stack the cards basically. And they've had a multitude of matches. And it's frustrating because like there's so much talent in WWE, number one. And number two, like there's so many ways these matches could go, but it feels like the only way that they will take them now is the super daft way. So we'd end up, and you know, last year, to be fair, there was a quite smart one that happened at Extreme Rules, I felt, when Dolph Ziggler challenged Drew McIntyre to an Extreme Rules match where the rules were only extreme for him. I felt, this is like really a good twist on it. Like, you know, especially when you got a babyface like Drew, obviously he really, really wants to, you know, kick someone's, you know, arse, so to speak. And he was having to obviously, you know, do it kind of within the rule book. While obviously Dolph was able to use chairs and tables and, you know, all the kind of amenities here. I mean, the thing is, it's, in a weird way though, it is too early day for tonight because, you know, they do like the changing things last minute and adding stipulations and pre-show matches and, you know, changing the cut, releasing people even. Though I think we're past that phase gladly. But yeah, I think in a way they are a bit tired now. And they were just something they did as well, just to boost pay-per-view numbers, really, like get the numbers up. But it creates like a problem. The biggest problem, I don't know if you've discussed it already, you know, apologies if you have, but I think the biggest problem it creates for me is that some gimmicks don't seem spontaneous or special anymore because they only happen at these gimmick pay-per-views. Yeah. And it's like they're not on the table for any other time of the year. Yeah. Like, when's the last time you used to have a TLC match, like, you know, on like, you know, well, tonight it would fit, to be fair, the stipulation, but like on SummerSlam, like because you want to have a big TLC blow-off match between, well, I know they prefer the singles match where I would now, don't they?
I think other than the cage match with Braun and, which you couldn't really call Extreme Rules, they're not usually on Extreme Rules, are they? And then there's Hell in a Cell. We had obviously the one with Shane and Taker, but you're right, man. Like other than that, like I said earlier, just before you came on, like when Cactus Jack announced there was a Hell in a Cell match, like back in the day, people were like, whoa, you know, like it used to feel. And same guy when he come out as commissioner and said TLC match, people lost their minds. You know, it was exciting and like you say, spontaneous. Quickly going to get to this comment here, early one from JBDB. All right, lads, great to see we're straight into wrestling politics. That's all right. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think the fact it's just really watered it down. We've mentioned this so many times. I think every time one of these pay-per-views come up, especially Hell in a Cell, we all have this conversation, don't we, of like, can we just move away from it, stop forcing it? Like, some feuds just don't need Hell in a Cells, and some feuds would be ideal to be a TLC at a certain point in the year, but can't do that. In 3 months' time, we've got TLC. Like,
I think the problem too is, even though they've done less of this recently, but my favorite too is that obviously because they felt they've had to kind of give it equally to not just the genders, they've also had to give it equally to like tag teams and like mid-card stuff. So it feels a bit like they kind of just force it upon a feud, whether it's needed or not. You know, like sometimes it makes sense. Like when Bayley and Sasha Banks had their Hell in a Cell match, it makes sense. Like, yeah, they were feuding for like almost a year. But I just feel, wouldn't that have built nicely up to, you know, I guess it wasn't going to, at that point, it wasn't going to go to WrestleMania, it could have like September, but you know, maybe Survivor Series could have built nicely even into December. But it's like, it's so rigid with how they do their events now, so that it's hard as well, because like, if you're not interested in these themed events as well, like, you know, you will only watch WWE when it's the events that you care about, which is the problem they got now, with the audience would dwindle, because potentially people just don't like it, don't like Extreme Rules, don't like TLC, don't really care for these things. You know, they just want like the big shows and the names they grew up with, you know, like SummerSlam and Mania. You know, I guess Money in the Bank. I guess is Money in the Bank the exception to this rule then? But I guess even
do you know what? I was literally just saying that before you come on, mate. Sorry to cut you off. But I was saying, of all of the gimmicks pay-per-views, the only one I say would be an exception is Money in the Bank, because it's well. Yeah, because it is booked well. But I just think now at this point, I think by taking all the gimmicks out, bringing back, as I said, No Mercy and Armageddon, Insurrection, you know, to name a few, or St. Valentine's Day, you know what I mean? All that stuff. By bringing that stuff back, when all of a sudden they go, right, we're going into Armageddon and we're going in Hell in a Cell. Surely that is now your buy rate of, oh crap, like they're having a Hell in a Cell. Like, surely that should now be the way to.
Yeah, because the other way around, it's like, of course they are.
It's Hell in a Cell. Yeah.
Someone's going to be there's no bonus anymore. That's exactly it. I think Lucas said, it was like a quick fix when they did it to try and be like a bonus. You know, like going, all these pay-per-views, they've got exciting things going on. But even when they started out, do you remember it was like Fatal 4-Way? Who's excited about a pay-per-view called Fatal 4-Way? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'd take Cyber Sunday any time over Hell in a Cell.
They're excited, but they'd be fresh, you know. So I get to another comment here. JVDB again. Also don't understand why they broke up Miz and Morrison and didn't even put it on the Extreme Rules. Such a waste. I completely agree. I forgot they'd even broken up and done that. Just mentioned that.
Oh, there's a reason for it though, isn't there?
Why? What's the reason?
Because the Miz is doing his cha-cha-cha.
Oh, yeah, I saw a clip of that. Yeah, he looks really impressive, actually, to be fair. Yeah. But but come on. Why'd you break him up then? Just make him injured or something, like, and break him up when you can benefit from it. Hey.
I think it's something there's something they press the pause button on and they shall resume. But it's a tag team, so it is one of those where they may not bother.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Do you think on if Miz gets to the final, and all of a sudden you just get a John Morrison running as Miz is,
that'd be worth it. Yeah, then I'll be happy, man. That'd be a great payoff. Yeah, no, I like that. Okay, so let's get on to some of the matches. Obviously, some of these have changed. So we've done predictions already. Lucas couldn't join us on the prediction show, but has given us his predictions since. There's a bit of time for him to kind of, I guess, elaborate on them a bit more. So we'll give you the floor a bit more here, Lucas. And then on the ones that have changed, because obviously the stipulations have changed for two of them, we'll also give ourselves a chance to kind of to go over for as far as me and Rob goes, and see if we want to change our predictions on that, because the match type has changed. So with that in mind, let's start out with well, Rob, you said before we come on air that you think the pre-show could be, what was it?
Yeah, so I see a tweet. Obviously, it's on Twitter, so it's got to be true.
It must be.
That Liv Morgan and Carmella has now been moved to the pre-show.
Okay, so Liv Morgan and Carmella, rumored to be on the pre-show. So what do we pick? I'm just trying to go through this list here and have a quick check. So we've got Extreme Rules. It looks like we've all picked Liv Morgan. Yeah, every single one of us. Dan included, obviously isn't here today, but myself and Rob also went for Liv Morgan, and it seems that Lucas, you went for it in the meantime as well. So what's your reasoning behind Liv Morgan? Is it the same as ours?
I legitimately didn't know that Liv Morgan and Carmella had ever been in the same building together until this match.
Yeah, it was a feud, mate.
I have missed SmackDown the last couple of weeks though. You know, and even I think last week I even missed the results. I didn't even check up on what actually happened.
Oh man, that's a bad sign.
But it just seemed like it's something that formulated on that episode
of
some kind. I went with Liv Morgan because I think that I'm pretty certain she's probably like a mad stat where she hasn't won a singles match pay-per-view for about probably her entirety of her career, I'm guessing. And they've tried with Carmella so much, it just doesn't work. You know, she was fine a few years ago when she was with Ellsworth and, you know, that kind of stuff. And I mean, you know, she's never going to get released because she's going out with Corey Graves. So it's just like, you know, but I just feel that like the division moved on without her. But it's hard on SmackDown because obviously there's so few women. So obviously it was this feud pretty much, or like, I don't know, there's like 3 other people, I guess, that either of these people could face. But look, they may knock out the park. If they had moved this to pre-show though, then there's only 6 matches anyway. Maybe they're doing a 2-hour show tonight. That's good from us.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah, sleep tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was going to say, the reason I was on the predictions video, I said about Liv Morgan. Lucas, remember that time when Becky was always so close, but just not there. Yeah. And it was getting to that point where like fans were behind her, everyone was behind, and it was just, and then at the right moment, she got it. She becomes SmackDown Women's Champion. I feel like this is now that moment for Liv Morgan. And
yeah, kind of.
A lot of the females, like Iconics, Ruby, all leaving and you know, or being released and stuff. There's not a lot of women there in a shuffle that really need that push value. And I think in one way, it's really done like Liv a favor. And you know, her ring work's got better, her promos have got better. Crowd is starting to get behind her a lot. So I think this is her time to really like step up, and hopefully, if she follows through with all of it, she does well. Then you know, I reckon in at least the next year, we could see her as a champion.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they are going in that direction, and a good thing, and we've been saying this for about a year now on the podcast, is that we're finally seeing a women's match that's just a grudge match, you know. So it feels really good to be able to see something like this, and it makes sense. You know, Carmella can always play the heel. Liv, like you say, Rob, is in this kind of like journey of being like the new babyface that's kind of getting the sympathy and getting over. So I think it's a good way to do it. There's been many over the past year that I think they could have done little grudge matches with, and unfortunately didn't pull the trigger. I thought, well, if you ain't got a title, you ain't on the show. But yeah, it is good and it is refreshing to see that. But yeah, this one we don't get to change our minds anyway because it didn't change. But the sounds of it, me and you, Rob, would have kept with Liv Morgan even with the opportunity. So right, we're going to move into the next match. We've got the SmackDown Tag Team Titles match. We're going to predict. We're going to talk about predictions again. It's the Usos versus the Street Profits, and again. It's a clean sweep here for all 4 of us, like us 3 here and Dan once again. So, Lucas, you've joined us with predicting the Usos. Okay. Elaborate on that.
I was actually between the 2 actually in this one because I was thinking maybe they could have the Street Profits win, but something I went for later on in the show changed my mind on that, like in terms of my prediction. So I was like, no, they might just keep the Usos as it with, and obviously have the bloodline continue strong. But only imagine, obviously, they've just got the new T-shirt. You know, as obviously we will probably start seeing eventually, hopefully, some footage of a game being 2K22. You know, that kind of footage release. You've got to imagine they're going to want to have in gameplay footage of like the bloodline or the belts and stuff. So it gears up because obviously usually the game comes out, doesn't it, around Survivor Series time? Ready for Thanksgiving in America,
Yeah,
and for obviously to be discounted over here by Christmas Eve. Once everyone's obviously got it and played it and returned it, but I think it makes better sense to keep the stuff on the Usos. But it's nice to see them present like a tag team title match between like two actual tag teams, and tag teams that I think they've obviously worked together a lot in the last few weeks, obviously by a mix of 6-man tag matches and running and stuff like that. But it'd be nice to see, particularly if the card does stay quite small, as it looks like it currently is, then it'd be good to see, like, obviously if it is given some time. Because you've got to imagine, like, those, that kind of in the back of their mind, like, AEW is doing so well, the tag team wrestling, and these tag teams, I believe, I still firmly believe this, like, the Usos are, amongst the top kind of echelon of tag teams at the moment, and have been for quite some time. And so the Street Profits aren't far off as far as I'm concerned. So these are two of the better tag teams in the company. So if this gets given time and they get kind of the creative freedom, and they don't get a lot, an awful finish, booked for them to make them look stupid or whatever, I think this could be one of the moments of the night, to be fair.
Yeah, I think both teams have definitely worked well together. I think it'll be a fun one.
My only issue with this match, obviously, I would still have gone with the Usos anyway. But tell me why you have 4 guys that are phenomenal as tag teams, and you've just put them in a bulk standard match when you could have just literally put them in a ladder match for the tag titles. It's Extreme Rules. If there was ever a time for you to do it, it's now. I mean, all 4 guys would know how to do that. They've done it numerous times in their career so far, and surely this is the perfect match for them, because that way the Usos can cheat to win. They can do something to prevent the Street Profits from winning. And do you know what I mean? It fits in the Usos' wheelhouse right now with the bloodline stuff. They can do what they need to win, and it just makes sense. And I reckon that could have been match of the night. I still think this could actually still match of the night, just without any stipulation.
It would have been great to see it as a ladder.
But a stipulation added in for this, I'm like, come on now.
Yeah, it's literally ready-made, ain't it? And again, we're talking about these things. So anyway, we're going to get to a few comments here. Vinny saying the burger number 12 is ready. I assume that's because I kind of look like I work in a fast. I've just noticed with a headset. That's what you're talking about. Cool. I'll take your order. I will be spitting in your onion rings, as Eminem once said. There's a reason I'm wearing this, Vinny, though. We were invited to the WWE show recently at the O2, and I am a company guy. I'm shilling all the products. Now we're going to talk about our experience at the London show in a moment, and some of the news that came out of it as well. Carrying on from the comments about 2K. JVDB says they've postponed WWE 2K 2020 to March 2022. Sadly, you say sadly. I've been enjoying one of those games for a long time. But here we have wrestling as my addiction. Clearly, must enjoy those games. At least I have money to afford it, but I don't can't complain. Yeah, cool, fair enough. I mean, yeah, I used to be really excited for those games, but I've not enjoyed them for a long time. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, but maybe that's it. I'm really out the limit now. Exactly that. It's the same with FIFA and games like that as well. After a while, it's just like, it's not that much different to last year. And sometimes that's a real issue when the game from last year wasn't that good. And obviously 2K has been on a bit of a cold streak, I guess you could say, with the WWE games. Here we go. Yeah, I'm not the same man. They're not the same. I'm the same. They're not the same man. Yeah, completely agree. And I don't want to sound like, in my day, but we had Here Comes the Pain and Shut Your Mouth.
But the problem as well is like the roster, like they took a lot of the fun factor out of it. A lot of the game feels like a chore now. Do you know what I mean? Like the fun factor of like SmackDown 1 and 2, for instance, just isn't there anymore. Yeah, or even the arcadey feel.
Hey, just give me back No Mercy.
WrestleMania came back in the day, or No Mercy. And they focus too much on it being real and how it looks and how it feels to play the game or whatever. But it's just like, let us just have fun with it. Like it's meant to be fun, but like anything it does, it feels corporate. It feels, it feels hokey.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
That was a tagline for one of the was it 2K15? So real you'll feel it. Who cares? No one cares. Just
Who cares if the game's rubbish?
Yeah.
Good point here from Gaming Freak and Empire, and they definitely know gaming. Roster's going to be at least probably is going to be a small roster. It's been a bit. We were talking about this the other day. I think when we was at the show, weren't we, Lucas? Saying that. I mean, can you imagine how annoyed the 2K developers are with the amount of roster cuts that have gone on in this past year?
Because some people got those tickets in 2019 for Christmas. Legitimately looked forward to that show. Fair enough, obviously, pandemic happened and it got delayed and blah blah. But that's not obviously in anyone's control. But what is in WWE's control is that there's literally matches that are now happening in rival companies.
Well, it's that asterisk, isn't it? Hard subject to change.
We were able to. I know, yeah.
I mean, Braun Strowman. Imagine you bought tickets to see Braun. To see Braun Strowman back then, I mean, that's a possibility. He was a big star.
Crazy. Absolutely great. And now you can see a lot of them having matches. There's a match that could have been booked, like I said, in rival promotions, which is unheard of. And I think the problem they have, I guess, with the game as well is like you look back on again like the early kind of SmackDown games. Look how good that roster was. There was. I always think of these games a bit like like when you play like a Street Fighter, or you play Mario Kart. Like you're there because like you want to stick. You want to play the best characters and like. It's so much fun when, like, in Mario Kart, like, there's so many good characters. You know what I mean? So you and your mates, if you especially now you can play with, multiple players and stuff. Like, you and your mates, like, you're all like, oh, we want Bowser. I want, I want Toad. I want Mario. Like, you all have different, and there's like different reasons for selecting all those. It was the same back then, in like those days when you had the roster that's so stacked. It was fun to play. It was fun to watch
combined with TV a fun game.
Go home and then like. Do your own card, like you could do your own, like Stone Cold and The Rock were feuding. You could go home and do Stone Cold and Triple H, Stone Cold and Big Show, Stone Cold and Mankind, and I don't know why I keep saying Stone Cold, but
Stone Cold.
It was just much more exciting, wasn't it?
Go on.
I was just going to read out some more comments. NICW, if you know what that is, card subject to change. Is that booking game? I think I had that a few years ago. I don't know if that's the same thing.
I think they're meaning like on the IWC, maybe like Internet Wrestling Community. I'm not too sure. Maybe they switched.
But there was a booking game like that.
I mean, I know like what concept to change. I promote that myself, but like, do we have WWE title match? We don't have a WWE Championship match, do we? For Extreme Rules.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that guess it follows. What pay-per-view was it this year? Where it was. The June one, Hell in a Cell, wasn't it? Where Roman didn't defend the Universal Championship inside Hell in a Cell. He did that obviously the match on SmackDown. So I guess it's following on from that, where maybe these smaller ones we're only going to get one world title match. Obviously, that's not actually a bad thing, to be fair, because it does sometimes form.
It was like the days when you had Raw and SmackDown pay-per-views. Remember, you'd have one title on 1 month on the next month as well. Pat McAfee and Rick Boogs, I can see them for the whole show with their energy. Yeah, I mean. Good fun, both of those guys. Insane Championship. I was in ICW. Oh, okay, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just an event thing in general, though, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Even when you go to see a music act, they have acts subject to change in case, obviously, you go to a concert and you only see 3 members of Westlife, but then mind you saying that you remember that you're not in the A2000 anymot, but
I mean, if that's your concern, then Freeman.
But it's just how it is. But I mean, in terms of obviously the show, the thing of the show, to be fair, like it was decent, wasn't it? Like, I think we and Scott, we really enjoyed ourselves, on Monday. Definitely. It was nice kind of being back at an event in a weird way. I think it was the biggest thing we've both been to, I think, isn't it? Since obviously everything kicked off in the world.
Yeah, first big proper one. It's a tag team in it. That's just like, okay, all right, thanks for this. I'm a familiar with ICW, but I don't watch it that often. So thanks for filling us in. Do we collect any WWE stuff? Well, I look like I'm building a collection over here. I might as well just touch on some of it. This is a Sting mask I got signed a few years ago. This is a DX video that I turned into a light since the 90s. Some of the extra stuff you see here did come from our goodie bag from us attending the WWE event in London. Once again, we'll get into that in a little bit of time. here we go. Another comment on ICW. I still find it funny. ICW Champions Just Talk Show host NXT UK. Good old Supernova. Yeah, well, yeah, Supernova. I mean, we've interviewed Noam Dar actually, so check that out if you haven't seen it yet on this channel. We're going to move on now. We're going to move into a little bit more predictions. And again, don't worry, guys. We will come on to our thoughts about the UK show and, well, what came of it. There's a bit of news coming out of it that some of you might be aware of so far, but we're going to get onto that in a little bit of time. Next, we're going to move on to predicting more for tonight. And what we've got here is Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss. Okay, so for this one, we are split even, 50-50. So Dan and Dan and Charlotte. Dan and Lucas have gone for Charlotte. Me and Rob have gone for Alexa Bliss. Now, again, me and Rob and Dan have spoke about our predictions on the original prediction show, but we haven't heard why Lucas is going for his pick. So, Lucas, do you want to fill us in with why you're going for Charlotte Flair on this one?
Yeah, I just think they're going to default, really. Like, I think obviously they had their fun, didn't they, with Nikki Gash, who's now obviously, congratulations, obviously new WWE Women's Tag Team Champion, 3 reigns, making her the most time she's person with the most reigns of that championship in its short history. But
a person with the most shotgun, quick trigger, or not shotgun, what do you call it? Like quick fire trigger, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Quick decision. We're gonna give her a belt because she's hot at the moment.
It seems so.
You know,
it seems so.
Twice. And nothing against her. I think she's great, but still.
Yeah, look, like, you know, she's not going to be for the people who want more of the wrestling action. She's obviously for the kids, and you know, it's something which people need to appreciate as part of the business as a whole. You know, is getting the kids involved. So yeah. But anyway, in terms of this match, my thought process was that I think there's going to be some sort of shady thing that will happen, of some sort. And while I guess that could help Alexa, it could also explain why she kind of will lose, and they can set up something else next month. I do see potentially this match being the match that they take over to Saudi, you see, for that reason, and maybe the title change there.
What, in T-shirts?
Yeah, at Crown Jewel.
They'd have to be in T-shirts and all that stuff. Remember Natalia? Who was it? Natalia that had the match with?
Natalia with Lacey Evans.
Lacey Evans, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, Lacey Evans. But yeah, I do kind of think there will be a title change happening at that Saudi show. You see, so and it looks like it's not going to be the WWE Championship, though it might end up being the Universal Championship. But I think they might go for the Women's Championship changing hands for the first time, which is obviously big over there.
Yeah, that would be huge.
But yeah, I don't know. I just feel a bit like it's been a lot of chop and change that championship this year. Like, I must admit, the Raw Women's Championship has had such an odd year, like a very odd year from Ric Flair fathering Lacey Evans' baby, and that potentially being a WrestleMania feud. You know,
but they regret that feud now, don't they? With recent controversies, but
yeah. To what Charlotte not being on the WrestleMania card at all, to that actual match between Asuka and Rhea Ripley just being a bit of a, sadly a bit of a wet fart, to triple threat match galore throughout April and May, to Charlotte then winning the belt back, and then them teasing a double turn, but then Charlotte just being heel again, to obviously the Nikki ASH experiment, obviously, that they just felt they had to do, to now it being back on Charlotte. And I mean, the only way I see Charlotte losing if she wins it straight back, but I'm not going to say that because I think I'm saying about something else later on in the show. So that's where I'm at with Charlotte Flair winning and retaining her championship.
Okay, well, again, me and Rob went more for Alexa Bliss, and I think we had a similar kind of thinking of like maybe she's going to have a reign as this character, because otherwise it feels not pointless. But you'd think, for a lot of it, I think we've all agreed, like, she didn't need the title. But this storyline's got to end eventually. And for her to never have won the title, I think would be a little bit strange. So I think that's where we were coming. Rob, you was kind of on a similar kind of vibe with that, right? Or
yeah, I just don't understand, like, why. Okay, Bray's gone. Alexa's still in this thing. Okay, they could have done something a lot sooner just to flip her back to a normal Alexa. And that's it. Like, that they could have just left it there. And when Bray left, the mysteriousness of what happened to Alexa left with Bray.
Then
and they could have done
it. It though, weren't you, on TV, which I don't think.
But I think they could have got away with that. You know, I mean, it's Bray.
But then it's a great story. I mean, there's good things about the Alexa character, though. So why would you just give it up?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So the fact that they've kept it, there is a reason they've kept it. So, I mean, if there was ever a time to really over-establish her character, it's by beating Charlotte Flair, because she's a Flair, for crying out loud. You know, and I mean, how many times have we seen Flair lose her pay-per-view, her championship on a pay-per-view? It's like countless to the amount of times that Sasha's done it. You know, she's a good chaser and a great heel chasing, but she's really bad at retaining the title. Exactly the same as Sasha Banks. They've got a really bad run for that. So
I don't know actually, because Charlotte, surely she's had stronger runs than others. I think the problem is, I guess, she has had some of those. She can do 50-50. She has had really long reigns. Obviously, she retains quite a lot. But then she's had these really short ones in between, where like it has just been the Money in the Bank cash-ins, or you know, that kind of thing. And then she wins the belt back, and then she loses it next month. But yeah, it's that mix of things really. But and you know, like if we're gonna say that, it's like people like The Rock. Like I mean, a lot of his title losses were like the first defense too. You know, it's a hard one to kind of judge, to be fair, because obviously fans just get so bored so easily. You know, like look, you know, comments about Reigns overall are positive, but there are still people like, oh, every month want to lose, because once it goes past a day, people already seem to dislike, you know, some of these title reigns. It seems, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I really appreciate the ring work that Charlotte does, but does she always have to be in the main title picture? Like,
yeah, I agree.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
it'd be good,
done the tag stuff. And
like we mentioned earlier, isn't it? It'd be good if she was in that grudge feud kind of thing.
Yeah, get her out of. I think the only thing to do to save face for her is get her out of the title picture, out of the tag title picture. Give her a feud that is just literally a feud. Like, let her go away, come back, have a feud, and do something. This is the perfect.
To be fair, this is where this Alexa thing. You know, this Alexa thing. I think I mentioned it before, but like, the Alexa thing could actually been perfect for non-title because, you know, Alexa's obviously got the character, and it would go down that kind of route of obviously, you know, just being a different kind of thing for Charlotte Flair, which is why it's interesting it being for the championship tonight, because it's like I've never understood where belts fit in this kind of fantasy world of like, you know, making dolls move stuff and, you know, just having like a backstage playground, which is now in the ring. So where was it before? Do you know what I mean? Like it's now in ring now, isn't it? That segment, which obviously before it was like backstage, you know, and I think pre-recorded on the most part. I'm not too sure. So it's an interesting one where, you know, why does this belt exist in Alexa's universe? But yeah, it might also be again like they're rewarding her. You know, this is the thing. Like I think with WWE, like we're so used to, not we're so used to, but with like AEW, I think their reward is just obviously having the payoff match. Like they build up their pay-per-views very well around payoff matches. So all the good guys and girls win, usually on the most part, or at least there is like a reason that they do lose, but it's a clean decision and you move on afterwards. But WWE are very much like the payoff is just getting the match in the first place sometimes.
Yeah. You
know,
so with this is the case, they must obviously have to have a lot of respect for Alexa for obviously putting up with what they put her through this year, and she's done really good commitment to that character. Again, whether people like that character, you know, or not, that's something separate. But we can all admit that she's worked hard. And
you can't deny that she's an amazing performer.
And so it might be WWE just being like, yeah, we'll put you on with Charlotte on the pay-per-view, and this is your award, but Charlotte's winning still because we still want Charlotte Flair versus, you know, insert name of whoever she's gonna, you know, job out next.
So I got another comment here from JBDB. I agree. That's why I think the Fiend should never have been champion and should have just been a draw in non-title feuds. Wouldn't have been ruined by losses and wouldn't have damaged title prestige. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, you think back to the old days.
Smart guy,
where you'd have mega heels who wouldn't really ever win the title, but they'd be basically just cleaning house elsewhere, you know. So we got a few more comments here, which we'll get into. There's a bit of Reigns and Finn talk as well, which we'll get into in a little bit of time when we get to that match. But now we're going to move on to the next one, which with this one we are going to have the opportunity to change because the match has changed since we originally predicted it. It was a 1-on-1 for the US title between Priest and Sheamus. It's now a triple threat involving Jeff Hardy. Since then, though, Dan has given us his updated prediction. And that would be, let me just double check with what we've got here. Hold on, before I do that.
I was saying, who did you have before?
So Dan before Damian Priest. I think he's sticking with the same. Let me just double check. So Dan is sticking. Actually, while I go through that, we've got. I said Priest. Dan said Priest. Lucas, you've now said Jeff Hardy. So you've obviously you've known since the triple threat. And Rob also said Priest. So we have the opportunity to change if we want to. Hold on, I'm just going to get to Dan's one. So Dan said. I think he said he wouldn't change. Yeah, so he'd still say Damian Priest is going to win. So we basically, Rob, would you like to? Well, first of all, we're going with Lucas. Why did you pick Jeff Hardy?
I think that this is calculating move, as they are obviously looking at Jeff Hardy's, the fact that Jeff might go to AEW in the future. And I still remember when he did resign with WWE, it was his goal to become Universal Champion again. It was his goal to have kind of matches, without his, big match kind of thing. And I think it might be, for the reason why I'm saying this, is I think they can do a title change that basically won't mean much in the long term. So, AK will most likely just bounce back to the original champion again in a couple of weeks on Raw or SmackDown. And I feel this is the match they would do it with. So I felt they might have done that with the Usos and Street Profits. Might have the Street Profits win the titles tonight. And obviously Usos win them back. Again, like that kind of thing. But I think this might be the one they do it with, where Jeff will win, gets his pay-per-view win, and just hushes those internet kind of rumours / discussions about him going to AEW with a good story about, WWE just gave him the US title. Then they ride that coattail for a couple of weeks. Then he'll lose it. Maybe defend it in Saudi. Lose it. Because I think as well, the other thought process was too, that I'm guessing Damian Priest, he's quite tatted. They may have an issue with him and like that in Saudi, is what I was also thinking. Because again, I can't remember, there was a reason why Asa Black wasn't allowed on.
It was his back tattoo. It was like devilish or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because otherwise, Brock's been on the show. He's got a fair few toes himself.
The name also
depends.
But I think Brock's one of those where it's just like, as we have established through many stories and many years from him, it's like he could murder someone and he will still win WrestleMania. Vince McMahon would just be like, well, he's Brock Lesnar. Of course, he killed someone. It makes the character better. Isn't it?
But you're right. I think you're right. I mean, it's an interesting point, at least with the AEW connection. We had a comment here as well that did mention before he goes AEW, as if it's a matter of fact.
No, he's not. He's staying in WWE.
I mean, it might happen. It looks kind of likely. So I understand you're thinking of, like you say, it's a bit of a. It doesn't mean much as far as the show goes, but for the person who gets it, as in Jeff Hardy, maybe it'll sway some contract negotiations. Who knows?
Yeah, like. It's weird though, because it did feel very much like, obviously the decision is just made because of that, in my opinion. Because I had a segment that I had on Raw, I think it was this week or last week, where they did when Jeff qualified for the match, was this week I think then, wasn't it? When he qualified for the match, he won the match, but then Sheamus and Priest just brawled anyway. And there's a moment of me thinking, is Jeff going to come out and like get involved in this? But it just seemed very much like this is a Damian Priest versus Sheamus feud, and Jeff's just been put into it. But it's a bit like, well, in my head, is fine because Damian Priest and Sheamus can obviously, in the background of Jeff maybe just having like a couple week title reign or getting a title defense at Saudi, can do their feud, continue it on television and Raw, and then obviously just when the minute they're back from Saudi and they want the belt back on Priest or maybe back onto Sheamus, they can transition that and have their feud obviously for the title eventually. Like it's kind of it's weird to say this, but some of these championships are such non-entity, and it really like, does it matter if Priest loses now? Like no, like because like he's not going to be in a worse off spot, particularly in
it all depends how.
Protected.
It all depends on how what's next.
I'm sorry.
I say it all depends on how he loses, if he loses it, and what's next for him. Then it'll be bad if he goes into nothingness. But if he leaves it to go into the world title picture, all's forgiven, I'm sure, with the Priest fans.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah, this is the one I think they might just do. Because another thing I'm thinking as well is they're looking back. I hate to keep saying AEW because honestly, I don't even watch it. So like, people in the comments think I'm just like one of those guys like that. But I'm just seeing I like seeing how the behavior of WWE is changing because of AEW, and it is getting very, very relevant now, isn't it? It's getting very obvious now that they're doing things because AEW do things or haven't done things. So one of the biggest takeouts, obviously, of All Out was the surprises. So which is what my gut is they announce some more stipulations for some of the matches tonight because they want that surprise factor. They want the fun factor back. You know, they want, you know, because obviously some of these matches now, like Liv Morgan versus Carmella, like, for instance, I literally don't care. But if it's now all of a sudden like
tables match
or anywhere match, or it's gonna be a street fight. Oh, okay, or tables match. Oh, you have my interest now, WWE, and they can announce that, like, you know, on the show or maybe even on the pre-show, or whatever. Most like the pre-show because they still want people to obviously buy the pay-per-view, but like it just adds a surprise factor. And then again, they got the live fans back too, and there's that real reception they're getting, you know, in some of these towns. I mean, sadly, I can't remember what it was Raw a couple of weeks ago. Well, honestly, I think there was dead people in the crowd because there was just no reaction to anything.
It wasn't the zombies again from last year, was it?
Like, you know. Because before SummerSlam, like obviously the crowds obviously were booing Goldberg, and they took the decision to obviously not really have him on TV much to obviously counteract that. But it was still just very much, at least they were vocal about something. But there's been some, you know, it's sad to see because I remember going to the events. You know, I went to Insurrection 2001, and like it's just like you're so pumped at being there, and like it's so cool, and like, but it seems like some towns just don't care, basically.
And I guess it depends what's going on in WWE at the time as well. We're going to get to a few more comments before we move on to you, Rob, and get your answer, or one of our answers at least, for if we're going to change. Wrestling is my addiction again says, that's what I'm thinking. Don't think it is 100%, but I don't think it'll be too happy with the way WWE has been using him. Might get offered a better contract at AEW. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I think none of us would be. More AEW conversation here. AEW versus WWE Survivor Series, the best. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, we always dreamed that with WCW and WWE, and look how that went, you know, like
we got Invasion.
Yeah, I have a weird nostalgia for some of the stuff in the Invasion, but like if we booked Survivor Series WCW WWE, it wouldn't have been the winner take all.
This is not
we eventually saw, would it? You know,
that's not a bad idea for a video, to be fair. Because obviously this is something which probably needs a lot of discussion about who would make the teams. You know,
that's a good. We should do that every year.
Yeah. How would you do it? Would you do the champ versus champ thing they do now? Like, you know, the AEW TNT champion versus the
why
IC
not,
champion.
Man? Let's do that in our fantasy booking series because it'll be like our version of the who makes the top. What was it? PWI rankings. I'll say like it'll be our version of who makes the 5-on-5 match, and it won't just be based on thing. It'll be based on storyline and who we think will work well with each other.
Yeah.
Moving on again. So this is a great analogy, and I think this is a perfect thing we should be looking at. Some of AEW is overrated, but some of it is banging. Same as WWE, basically. LOL.
Well,
I don't think it can be said any better than that. I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, we're not here about like we don't prefer, you know, one over the other. You just we're wrestling fans, you know. So if one works well, the other gets pushed to work even better. That's great. I have a slight suspicion that Wrestling's My Addiction might be British. Not only the mention of ICW earlier.
Is it the word banging?
But banging. Describing some of this banging. Let us know if you are. Okay, so Rob and me, we've got the opportunity to change now. So I think it's time to bring in our trusty friend,
the legend.
And it's probably going to go wrong.
Is it working this time? Is the girlfriend?
The legend. And she's like, well, yes. I mean, it popped up earlier and she freaked out. So it must have worked
steady.
Hey. Now this time round, obviously Dan's not here, so we're gonna have to. What was his color? And
just do me red and you.
Yeah, but
it's just me and you, isn't it?
All right, we're going me and you, and then we have to choose second colours. So you're what one are you?
I'm me, innit?
What was you? I was green.
I think I was blue. If there's a blue there.
You don't sound confident, mate. All right, green. Oh, blue. Rob. Oh, this doesn't look like it's in steady, does it?
Everyone watching this is probably thinking, why is there a grown man?
Hey, way quicker than I expected. Green. That's me. Crap. That excitement has faded. Ronnie, you let me down once again, just in a different way. Do I change? Okay, what are we doing? Priest, Sheamus, I was umming and ahhing when it was just Priest and Sheamus, and the easy thing to say, I think, is, oh, Jeff Hardy's there for the pin. You know, he's there to make someone look strong. Now, my argument was, if Priest loses it, as I mentioned already, that's okay if he goes into the main title. He's clearly being built for that main title picture, that main event scene, right? Because after, it was a bit concerning that after he had the Bad Bunny match, he didn't do much, kind of lingered. Got the US title, hasn't been the greatest reign. I would prefer him to keep it personally and really go and make a name for himself in that kind of mid-card, I guess you could say, division before breaking into the top scene. So I prefer him to keep it. On the other hand, you can say Sheamus, again, did so well with Drew McIntyre in that feud earlier in this year, did so well with his own US title reign, but it feels a bit too soon to give it to him. But I wouldn't argue that either of them things are kind of WWE's kind of usual picture of we can't have them look weak. I think WWE would be fine dishing out the losses to either of them. Because if you dish it, the only one maybe not is Priest, if they want to keep him strong. Like he loses it, but it's not his fault type thing. But even still, just having a short reign kind of feels a bit weak for me. So although I feel like Jeff could be put in to make someone slightly not have to take the pin, that would probably be Priest. Sheamus wins it. Jeff is the victim of the big bad Sheamus, and Priest doesn't look too bad. He hasn't took the pinfall. He's no longer a champ, but here we go. I'm going into the main event. That's kind of somewhat likely, I think, but I'm going to stick with Damian Priest is still winning tonight. But I still think Jeff would take the pin, so that's tough. Damian Priest for me.
Oh, right. So, brace yourself, lads. Brace yourselves.
Getting real.
It is. I cannot see Jeff Hardy taking a pin tonight because, and I'll give you the reason why.
Ooh.
He was running around chasing the 24/7 championship, and every single person on Twitter blew up and exploded about it. Right? They said he should not be in that situation. Do you think then WWE are going to put him in a US championship match and then take the pin? Not a chance. Not a chance.
I've done a lot of similar things with him over the past year.
I don't think so. However,
other than that weird Karrion Kross victory, didn't mean anything.
I think Jeff is winning, which is my prediction. However, I think, and I really, really hope. I've seen a lot of stuff online saying that Jeff wants to bring back Willow. Now, if there was ever a time to help, I nearly called him Punishment Martinez again. Such an indie mark. Damian Priest. If there was ever a time to now establish Damian Priest and help him stay in the mid card and build him up before he wins back that championship, let Jeff become Willow and have Willow versus Priest. I mean, you could even do Willow on one show and Jeff on another. So one on SmackDown, one on Raw.
You got too much faith in that storyline.
Listen, if they want to compete with AEW right now, and I hate the word competing, but if there was ever a time for them to really push boundaries, it's now. And as Lucas said, there's going to be surprises. So what's stopping them? I mean, if it goes wrong, just get rid of Willow. Jeff is the person that will come back and fans will pop for it. It's not like he won't get a pop. I mean, the fans marked out when No More Words started playing. So, and that was over a song, for crying out loud. So I really do think that if there was ever a time to try out this Willow stuff, it's now. And I think having him with Punishment, having him with Damian Priest.
Did it get your mark?
I can't help it. Having him with Damian Priest is, and you know, it's not like Jeff can't work. And I think that they're great matches. So I'm going Jeff Hardy. Yeah. And I hope he comes out as Willow soon.
So would he be a heel then?
Yeah. I think he's going to turn heel tonight.
Interesting.
Wow. Okay, it's a big bold prediction. I mean, because
I'm not bonus pointing that. I'm not that.
Yeah,
stupid.
All right. Yeah, of course. Surely bringing back No More Words, and then just a few weeks later giving him Willow is kind of like a sign of desperation. Of like, what can we do with Jeff? We're giving him his song, didn't work. Which I don't. Not saying it didn't work. I think it did work. I think everybody, like say, popped for it. But
a week later, he was chasing the 24/7 championship. So. You know,
it's a weird time for Jeff Hardy, ain't it?
I love Jeff Hardy.
Okay, so you're changing yours to Jeff.
I'm going to be kicking myself.
I nearly talked myself into... man, all right.
Have I talked you into thinking Jeff's going to win?
You both saying whatever, man. Like, okay, he's either put in the match to win it or to take the pin, right? And
Sheamus is taking the pin.
Yeah.
To
I
protect
can
Damian
see
Priest,
it. Like, the
Sheamus is
more I
taking the pin.
speak, the more I can see Sheamus taking like. Yeah,
Sheamus
'cause that's
taking the pin.
And Jeff's winning.
I think Priest would do his stupid little crossroads thing. And then Jeff was one time on top. And then just pin like Sheamus, obviously, because Sheamus is on the bottom of that.
You want a bonus point here, Lucas?
I mean, you normally bonus point it anyway, Lucas.
No, because I might bonus point something else.
All right, cool. All right, well, we're going to move on now
this is not a
to.
cash-in.
Oh, don't you dare! We're going to move on to the Universal Title match.
Well, no more questions anymore.
That is between.
Okay, here we go.
The big dog, the head of the table, the tribal chief, Roman Reigns versus the Demon, Finn Balor, specifically the Demon Finn Balor. We had a lot of debate on the last podcast about, the prediction and preview episode about what we thought was going to happen here because of it being the Demon. Can they really afford to make the Demon lose? There is no chance, I think, for the most part, do we think they're going to make Roman Reigns lose. There's a lot of conversation about the Brock Lesnar match coming up. Right, now the original things that we said was a no contest for Dan, who said a bonus point that Brock Lesnar will be involved. Now, the rest of us all said Roman Reigns. Now, Roman Reigns came for me and Rob as a prediction before we knew it was in Extreme Rules, and for Lucas since that. So I'm just going to go into Dan's one. So Dan says, now it's in Extreme Rules. He would now change the Roman winning because it's tricky to do a no contest. So he's revoked his bonus point, lucky man. But he still thinks Brock Lesnar. No, well, there you go. Bonus point was that Brock will be involved. So therefore, he's keeping his bonus point on it. So he thinks Brock Lesnar is going to be involved for a bonus point. But he now thinks it's Roman Reigns winning. So therefore, we all say Roman Reigns. First of all, we'll go with you, Lucas. Why are you picking Roman Reigns?
It doesn't lose. Finn's not the one to do it. If it was 3 or 4 years ago, fair enough. But Roman's just put himself above everyone else on the roster. The only person who's able to beat him is a part-timer. There's 2 people that could do. It could be Brock Lesnar next month in Saudi Arabia, or it could be The Rock when and if, let's be real, because it is The Rock, when and if they are able to throw enough money at him to do that. I can honestly, at this point, still see Reigns as champion through WrestleMania and perhaps even through to SummerSlam next year. I love Happy Corbin, to be fair, but look, Roman Reigns is the best thing in wrestling at the moment. I can see you guys having a little bit of debate in the comments.
A lot of debate.
But Finn and Reigns, obviously the legendary JBDB, who we briefly met the other day at the O2. But yeah, paper towel. But yeah, sorry. Some of these comments, man. Keep them coming though, guys. Really appreciate it. Really helps with us. Don't forget, obviously, like, share, subscribe to the videos. We're back for reviews of the shows as well, and we're doing other stuff on the channel too. So yeah, really means a lot when you do this for us. I know, I've been speaking to Josh all week about this, I don't have a vendetta. Well, I do and I don't. I think he has his place, but it's not to beat Reigns. I think even him beating Reigns a couple of years ago, it wouldn't have gone down. It's moved on so much to the Universal Champion. I thought this the other day actually, but the Universal Championship, even though it's obviously a newer championship, it's had a really, really weird history, I think, of going from when you're going from, obviously they had the Finn Balor thing, then obviously the Owens era of that belt, ending with the Goldberg, and then the kind of starting the part-time obsession they had with it, with Goldberg and then Lesnar, winning it. And the fact that a lot of people obviously haven't been Universal Champions still, in the company, which is really odd. Big names as well, like AJ Styles, and a lot of the names for that belt that could have had it, it feels like obviously because they had Brock have it for so long, and they had even Reigns now have it for so long. A lot of people have wrestled in the past 5-6 years just haven't had that championship. And good wrestlers like Dan O'Brien, he never had that championship. So it's an interesting one. But The Extreme. So obviously, you mentioned there that obviously my prediction was made off. Stipulation was made official. I would have thought that regardless. I guess it would have led easier to a DQ type of option if it wasn't Extreme Rules. I'm guessing, but still, I think Roman would obviously be champion still, so it wouldn't have much of a impact on anything they're doing. With it being Extreme Rules, though, I'd say that it's literally shot to an instant. Roman is retaining. I see this match being quite long, though, to be fair, which is weird because the Demons matches are usually quite short. Apart from when he faced Samoa Joe, actually, I think, wasn't it? When he faced Samoa Joe, I think that was the lengthiest the Demons obviously wrestled for. Usually it is like a short, sometimes it's been as short as like a couple of moves, isn't it? A couple of moves and it's been done kind of thing. But anyway, it was short, and it was short though when he faced, even when he lost. Wait, was he the Demon for Lesnar? No, he wasn't. This is the problem with the Demon because
so I think we don't think he's lost since he's been a Demon. So this is where I think it's a good point here in the comments. So I think it's not putting a match in place with a challenge obviously going to lose. Another follow-up here from JVDB. I'm just not happy they resurrected the Demon just to have him lose, which it does feel like it's going that way. But I think that's exactly why they've done it. Just because I think no matter who Reigns face at the moment, unless it is someone like your Brock Lesnar or The Rock, it doesn't feel like he's going to lose. So one of the last things they've got is to go, here's a character, technically, that's never lost. And it's almost at the expense of Reigns. And this was my argument with the original preview, that I just think it's dangerous for Finn, who's been building up his character over the past year or two, to a good point again. And I think they've rushed in with the kind of it's beneficial for the Reigns situation. It's quite damaging to Finn Balor, in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't know though, because Finn wasn't out on NXT for past goodness how long. I don't know how it's damaging really, because
because that's his ace in the hole, as they say. That should be.
Well, maybe we'll see
they're
going to
kill the Demon tonight, are they not? Unless he's winning, they're killing the Demon tonight. After all these years, this is how they do it.
Perhaps, but it's not 2016 anymore. No one cares about Finn Balor. He had his moment. Man.
Oh, poor Fergal.
He had his moment. He got injured. The company moved on. It's one of those things. It would have been all right. If he didn't get injured potentially. JWD, I think he's right with this. It's just they're putting Reigns just on that pedestal now, and if you can beat the Demon, then it's it gives them that thing where you can beat the Beast. Maybe beat the Great One.
Yeah.
It is a kind of sucky match though for fans. This because obviously someone we say this, they might do a DQ still. Someone has to win because it's Extreme Rules match stipulation.
The way they do
and obviously it does seem like it is quite divisive. There are fans that don't want the Demon to be, quote unquote buried. But also fans that probably won't be happy with Roman's long, lengthy reign of him beating kind of every other guy, to end before he's facing, the bigger names that are one is to come with Brock Lesnar next month, but one is potentially to come, with The Rock. Because I think obviously if the Rock storyline is still on, on the table, it's that's the biggest stuff they could do for that belt. And so if he loses now, it's a bit well, what's the point then?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Okay, here we go. Well, I care about Finn Balor. Well, there we go, Lucas. It's
There we go. Well, you care about him on NXT, so I have to watch him.
Oh, come on. I still care about Finn Balor. Check it out in the view of him on the main.
I sense a heel turn coming from Lucas.
Specifically,
have faces here on the web it's
I'm a lucha. I have to be face.
And I'm royalty. I've got to be heel. I'm royalty. King, whatever. Anyway. Okay. So again, gives us the opportunity to change. I genuinely don't think this is going to go off because I've set it up.
Yeah.
So, Rob, are you fine just going first this time?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Right. I could try.
I always have to go first. So why break the habit of a lifetime?
No, I don't mind going first.
No, I'm good. I know my decision.
All right.
So the match is ending in a no contest. there's no winner. Romans will still be the champion. However, it's going to end in a no contest.
Okay, so you're changing your prediction from Roman Reigns to no.
Roman
contest.
they'll still leave as champion. However, there's going to be a no contest. They're not going to ruin Finn Balor's undefeated, and they're not going to ruin Reigns being undefeated. I reckon it's going to be. I mean, we went to the UK tour, and we see a lot of people coming out to help and support. Obviously, we had Ray and Dominic with Finn. So to speak on that quickly, and then obviously during the show, you've got the New Day and stuff coming around with Roman. You've got too many people like within the bloodline, and there's too many people around this feud at the moment for something to come out and not be hokey. On top of that, you've got Brock Lesnar. So my thing would be if Brock comes out, not that he would. But he's done it to Randy Orton. He's done it to a few others with the elbow to cut him open. I think it will just be a ref stoppage, and it will be like there'll be no finish.
Okay, so you're locking it in. You change your mind from Roman Reigns to no contest.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I mean, I'm sticking to Roman Reigns then because I just feel like exactly what you said would lead to Roman Reigns winning.
No.
But
because
they'd have to really mess with the rules, though, don't you think?
If neither of them can go, who's pinning? So if both of them are taken out of it, I mean, I'm sorry, but if with the way Brock is at the moment, and you have him come out against Finn Balor, he's just gonna throw him around like a rag doll. And then on top of that, if he's pumped, you expect him to be just all fine with Roman. He's going to take them out.
One of those where he takes them both out.
It's going to take both of them out. And I mean, let's face it.
I just feel like the Usos will drag Roman on top or something like that.
No, I think he will do something to prevent them.
Which, again,
the Street Profits would come out.
It would help the whole Finn Balor Demon thing not looking too... yes, he took a loss, but he still looks kind of strong. You know, so... But yeah, like you said, there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of people that could come into it as well. Interesting. Okay, very interesting. There we go. Another comment here. So we got, it would be a win to Finn Balor via disqualification. But we can't do disqualifications because it's Extreme Rules.
That's why I'm saying it'd be a match stoppage.
On our original review, we were saying that, but now it's been changed to Extreme Rules, whatever that means in this day and age. Okay, right now we are going to move on. Okay. Well, is there anything else you guys want to mention really on this match actually?
No, I'm good.
We'll get to move on. Okay, so we got Bianca Belair challenging the WWE SmackDown Women's Champion, Becky Lynch. Okay, so for this one, what we said was, Dan said Belair. I said Belair with the bonus point of it would be a DQ, which I regret. Lucas said Becky Lynch, and Rob said Bianca Belair, bonus point DQ. So basically, to recap, Dan thinks Belair is going to win the title. Me and Rob thought at the time that Belair was going to win, but only by DQ. So she wouldn't come away with the title. Therefore, it's a bonus point for us. And Becky Lynch was straight up winning for Lucas. So again, we'll start with you, Lucas, seeing as you've not given your explanation yet. So why is Becky Lynch coming away with the title?
Too sure, really. Like, I just think, I don't know, a DQ win on Extreme Rules.
Thanks as well, Josh. But also Becky Lynch.
Do anything for me. Yeah, it doesn't do anything for me. I think, you know, like, they're obviously going to move it on now, like, and maybe this will continue anyway. But I think that there will be some sort of shady. Because the thing is, Becky, like, obviously she's only done like a couple of kind of heel kind of things, and she hasn't. It's not been in matches. It's just been like in promos and segments and stuff. But this might be the one where she actually did a heel thing in a match. So that obviously that will then, you know, cement her as a kind of heel going forward. But it's hard to say, like with WWE, like there could be shenanigans, could be things going on. But I think this is one where I think Becky will win. And yeah, must say, we're gonna go into it anyway about the SmackDown thing, but I'm looking forward to this match though. After seeing the O2 match the other day.
Well, you might as well, mention that there because we'll mention the other bits separately anyway. But yeah, I know what you're going to say. You were going to say about the finish, right? Give us a little bit of a preview. Yeah, go ahead. Might as well talk about that now.
Well, yeah, obviously they worked together at the O2 as part of the live events. They obviously on the other live events actually had I think the same match, and they main evented as well, which I think for me was the first time seeing the women main event a WWE show, live in person, kind of thing, and shows obviously how far we've come with them. But at the same time, and they honestly stole the show, to be fair, and the finish was really, really, really spectacular. With the Bianca Belair in the disarm her and able to deadlift Becky Lynch up into the KOD position, which was incredible to see for the live audience, and it might be something that obviously makes it into this match. Maybe but I thought it would be with an Extreme Rules thing, but now it's not got a stipulation. You're a bit like, well, yeah, maybe they just are going to do a DQ thing. Maybe that just happened, and then Becky going to break the eyes or something, and then maybe go and get a chair, and something else that could happen. I guess this match could start the pay-per-view, I guess, and they could end in a DQ, and then they could put the Extreme Rules stipulation on it, I guess, for later on in the night or something. Or have a brawl backstage, and it obviously becomes okay. This match will now become forthcoming anywhere, something like that. Like, there's loads of things they can do with these things, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just in that camp of hoping that I'm remaining faithful that they are going to just start taking this a bit more seriously and want to bring that fun factor back. Because that's what I miss the most about WWE. But I still think Becky's retaining.
I do think, like you say, though, having a DQ, which is mine and Rob's original thing, we're locked in now. We can't change that one because the match hasn't changed stipulation. But I guess I do have a bit of regret with that because it's like on an Extreme Rules pay-per-view, like I say, it's a bit odd to do that. But at the same time, I could picture Becky Lynch just getting a chair, start beating her up, and going to the camera and the crowd. What? It's Extreme Rules. It's like just jokingly taking a bit. Like, she knows that weren't the stipulation for a match. She looks like a mega bad guy, and Bianca looks sympathetic. So that would be a good way to do it, as when you think about the Extreme Rules factor. Rob, would you have liked to have changed if you could have?
Not a chance. I still think Becky is going to be walking away with the championship. However, Belair will be the winner of the match. Yeah. As we said, I just don't see it being any other way. I mean, as someone in the comments said, JVDB. Someone in the comments said losing it would be very quick. Oh yeah, it was wrestling's my addiction. If you could pull it up, it'd be weird if they took the title off her this fast. Exactly. It makes absolutely no sense, and it's poor booking. If that's the case, you should have brought Becky back as a face and let her lose it, and turned Belair as the heel. Yeah. If that's the case. But yeah, it makes absolutely no sense for her to lose the title this quick. So the safest way and probably the best way to do it, the fact that it's Extreme Rules and there's no stipulation, is again stupid in my opinion. But it would be via a DQ. So Becky does something, even if it's pulls on her tights, or if they use the hair and then all of a sudden the hair is then classed as a weapon. If a table could be the table cover could be used from Charlotte as before, then technically the hair is as well. It's going to be something dodgy that happens that gives Belair the overall victory. But Becky's going to be reign champion.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about my whole kind of bonus point in, and I can't take it back anyway, but I took myself into either side of it, I guess. And again, the same sort of thing I said on the preview is that if she does lose it straight away, it defeats, why did you do what you did to Bianca Belair? Although, ironically, I would have been fine with Bianca keeping it back then, and I'd be fine with her being the champion in the future. I think it defeats the purpose of, why did you let her lose so quickly just for her to win it back? It just was pointless. But anyway, we had a lot of debate that. SummerSlam is now time for Extreme Rules, so we can move on from that and probably have another debate tomorrow on our recap show. Quickly, going to get to this comment here from Josh again. The O2 match was brilliant, to be fair. Couldn't agree more. Perfect time to really move on to that, really. As you can see, we went to the London tour. Well, the London show on the UK tour. All three of us were in attendance that day. And yeah, I don't know about you boys. Well, I kind of do. I spoke to some of you since, a bit of you since. But yeah, I really enjoyed the show. It was really good to be out there and get in that kind of environment again. See WWE put on a live show, touch on it a bit earlier. But yeah, kind of like not makes you fall back in love with it, but yeah, just reminds you of just how fun it can be, especially at a live event. Want to say big thank you to WWE for having us. We had a really good time in general. The party beforehand and all the little things you see on display now. I got to rep it. The WWE when they treat us so well. Really do appreciate it. But yeah, that doesn't mean we're not going to criticize. Don't get me wrong. But something that did come up in that show, guys. Well, no, first of all, what did you think of the show? First of all,
do you want me to go first? Because I do need to.
You go first, because I haven't really spoke too much about it.
Yeah. Do you know what? I absolutely loved it. It's been so long since I've seen a wrestling event live, obviously due to pandemic and stuff. And I think what made it extra special, it was my wife's first time going to the show. To see it live. Yeah. So she got to see like the women main event, which obviously she loves Becky and Belair, so she was repping her Belair top, so I had to put my Becky one on. If you haven't, there is a photo of like us three together, and some of you may have. I got caught off guard because I didn't have a mask, so I've Rey Mysterio'd it. So check that photo out on the Rev Noise Instagram. Yeah, I'm going to give him a follow while you're at it. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It was such a good experience. Do you know what? I know it sounds really silly, but man, I got the train home well quick. Normally coming out of these events, I'm there forever waiting. Because you messaged me, you was like, "Do you want to get a beer?" And I was on a train. I was like, "Oh, I'm gone, man." But yeah, no, absolutely loved it. I won a bet with a missus as well, which was great.
Nice.
Yeah, so we done a how many woos will you hear before we get into the stadium?
Or
before we get into the actual like seating area. She guessed low, I guessed high, and obviously your boy come through, so she owes me now.
Yeah, but that's unfair, man. I mean, you'd been to a show, so you knew how this stuff works. That's unfair.
Hey, a win's a win. All counts, right? A win's a win. Thank you, Lucas. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. If you've never been to a WWE show, then I highly recommend going. It's such a great experience. And do you know what? As much as I like the TV tapings, when you get to go to a live show, they're so different. There's something so different about them.
See that as a negative, don't they? Because not much is going to happen. But in a weird way,
so
a lot of good stuff happens. That they're trying out things for the pay-per-views. They're trying out things for Raws and SmackDowns in general. And then also, they're doing things that they probably couldn't get away with on TV. So it is a different kind of vibe.
Yeah. I mean, it's so good. There was a time when before I shoot, there was a time when I went to the Wembley Arena. It wasn't actually in the Wembley; it was the stadium next to it. Is it the SSE? I think it is.
Yeah, Wembley Arena.
And and Elias was in there with the Good Brothers, and they were singing Wonderwall. Like you don't get to see that on TV. You know? So like I always think, as much as the Raw and SmackDown tapings are, like TV tapings are great, but honestly, I think live shows are so much more fun.
Yeah, they're a bit freer, aren't they?
Yeah. So, and like you said, you get to see what they're going to try out, as Lucas said earlier, with Banks and Belair, into the Disarmer, into the KOD and stuff. You wouldn't have got to see that if it happens on the pay-per-view tonight. We got to see it before it actually happened. So, and this is where they test their waters, and things work and stuff like that. So, yeah, I absolutely love live events, and it was so good going back and seeing all of them perform. So yeah, I'm looking forward to going. November's the next one, right?
Yeah, November. Ironically, though, man, you just reminded me, like, as far as like SSE Arena and them testing the waters and things. The first WWE show I went to was, I think, in 2005, was a Raw show, and Snitsky and Kane faced each other, and I was amazed because they was in quite a heavy feud at the time, and they hadn't wrestled each other on TV, and I was like, wow. Like, wow. I'm getting to see, like, and they were literally that. They were practicing for their pay-per-view, and that was the first time I was aware of, like, this is what they do. They practice pay-per-view matches on house shows, like, literally making a point about these guys ain't even been in the ring together properly. And it's like, hold on, did you read the house show reports? Yes, they have. So it's quite interesting to see stuff like that. Lucas, any kind of points on that before we move into some of the big news that's come out of something that was said there? I don't know why I went on Macho Man there, but
yeah, look, like I said, I think End of the day, if you're at a WWE event, it's because you're a WWE fan. And yes, obviously, there's some people that got free tickets, discounted tickets. But like I said, there were some people that generally bought these tickets when they got released, most likely in November of 2019, and or were gifted them for Christmas that year or birthday presents, whatever it might be. And we're looking forward to going and see the stuff that they like. And end of the day, as we should be spending an hour and 20 minutes, criticizing and saying things and, suggestions and, also good things too, about WWE. But the fact is, we're spending an hour and 20 minutes talking about it still. Because it means we love it. We spent 2.5 hours in there, in the building, watching wrestling. And live events are the place where, you do get to see, just much more. And it does feel a bit more relaxed. I think even the superstars, the wrestlers themselves, they feel relaxed. There's not TV is a bit of a chore now, especially like Raw, having the dark matches and main event and then the 3-hour show, and it's just all a bit awkward and it's so long-winded. Like the entries are going forever because obviously they have to have the adverts now, in between every kind of step that the wrestler takes. It seems, as the entries are going forever and ever and ever. But look, there's obviously some things that didn't really appeal to me a little bit, or I didn't really. But on the most part, just a really enjoyable evening out. Had a really good day that day as well. Just in general, whole Monday, Monday was really good day.
Oh, good. I'm glad, man.
Yeah, it's just weird that when it was over, it was just oh, it's over now. But then obviously, you're pumped because obviously, they've announced another tour in November. Got to imagine they'll be back again early next year. And of course, what we may obviously have coming for us very, very soon. So there's good stuff to come.
Definitely. I mean, touching on that, that's I think where we'll go next, and that's Drew McIntyre after his match. And you could say, it was because he was pumped in front of a live audience, and is it just, I'm in this town, I'm going to talk up this town, not so much a town, more of a country. But basically said, hey, next year, 30 years since SummerSlam in 1992, I'm going to make sure we have a significant pay-per-view over here. Now, since then, the wrestling world's kind of become, a buzz at this, and it's kind of something that we've kind of debated as British fans for a long, long time of how they could do it, when they could do it, and why they should do it, really. And Drew's basically said he's going to have it, come true. And since then, some people are reporting a lot of rumors out there. There are rumblings that it's actually going to happen, and that next year, 2022, again, 30 years since SummerSlam 1992, we're going to have a significant wrestling event, and there's talk of them actually doing Raw and SmackDown and fan events while they're over here as well. So sort of like a mini Mania, I guess you could say, when they bring the whole thing to one place. So I mean, being around SummerSlam, for me, surely just make it SummerSlam. I don't know if they're booked up for SummerSlam already, but even if it is one of these so-called B or C shows, I think being in the UK, no matter where they put it, obviously I'd love it to be London, but no matter where they put it, I think it's going to be amazing.
It's got to be. Sorry, it's got to be Wembley, right? I mean,
could they do Wembley?
Oh, come on now! You're
At
telling
this
me?
Moment in time, I don't know.
Of course they can. I mean,
Wembley's what, like 80,000?
80, 90,000? Yeah. How many times I've been to a few NFL shows, right, at Wembley, and tons of Americans come over. You think they're not going to come over?
Yeah, but for that it has to be a Mania then. If it was Mania, they'd get 80,000 people.
I think they'll do it for like a SummerSlam, or it'll be a Do you remember when they used to do like the WrestleMania revenge tours and you got all these sort of things? It'll be. I think they'll do it and they'll make it kind of how a Saudi show is. They're going to do something similar over here.
Yeah, but again, I don't think many Americans travel to Saudi for that show.
I reckon they'll come over. I mean, Saudi, yes, it is different, but I reckon they'll do something. If not, just give us SummerSlam. It's 1 year.
I mean, what I'm looking at, I'm trying to look it up now, and it looks like no, they haven't really. I mean, there's rumors that it's returned to Vegas for 2022, but most of the things when you look it up are people saying it needs to be the UK. And now I think it would be great. Realistically, they might have already, the ship might have sailed for SummerSlam. But in order to do Wembley, it needs to be a marquee event. you know.
Which makes sense for SummerSlam. Hey, listen, if Drew McIntyre is willing to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, I mean, he got the crowd up right wild.
Yeah. I mean, they
talking
could
about
definitely do it, but it would have to be a marquee event. Like, I think they could do a pay-per-view here. They could do their own version, like that Australia show they did, and you mentioned the Saudi shows, the Japanese show they did with Finn Balor before. Like, that's what I thought they would do. Once the network came around, they were doing these specials. I thought we'd get a network special.
Yeah.
We got the NXT show, of course, but as far as a WWE branded event, we didn't get anything like that. So for me, it'd be something more like that. Unless it was SummerSlam, then you could definitely sell out Wembley as SummerSlam or WrestleMania or in Survivor Series. I mean, the Rumble would be ridiculously exciting and fun as well. But I think just a normal kind of like 15 to 20,000 seater pay-per-view B show is probably what it's likely to be.
I mean, I would take that, but if WWE are going to do a pay-per-view over here, you'll either do it big or don't, because they do these TV shows, like they do like a 20,000 arena. We went to one Monday.
But still having our own event though, I think, which is important.
But then if it's marquee,
take away, like, why do SummerSlam in one location if you can do SummerSlam in America and the Super Duper UK show as well?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
But
I
yeah,
just
they do
think,
both.
I reckon if they could get SummerSlam, but over here for next year, and they put it in Wembley, I think that's they would fill it up, and that
They would, but then that takes away from SummerSlam in the States. Like, the Saudi shows aren't WrestleManias. They might be the greatest Royal Rumble, but it's not the Royal Rumble. Do you know what I mean? They could do something like that. Like, ironically using the word Royal, I wouldn't be surprised if they did a stupid branding thing of like the Royal Survivor Series, the Royal SummerSlam. I think it's stupid like that, you know, because of Britain's connection to royalty. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, of course I want to see it.
I don't think it's SummerSlam personally. I still just think that they won't do a show that their core audience can't watch or has to be spoiled. I think that it always just boils down to that for me. They just won't do a show where, obviously, for their core audience being America, where they're gonna what's the time difference? They do it 7 p.m. here. That's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon in some states. Like on a Sunday, it's just not going to work.
Which is mad though, like, because it's daytime. Like, that shouldn't be difficult. Like, we watch football in the day. They watch American football in the day. Like, it shouldn't matter, but like, and it doesn't matter as much as it used to. And
I agree.
But yeah, I think it's still
the spoilers being. I think obviously back in the day it would be easy because obviously no internet, but the spoilers are there the minute the show takes place.
Video and stuff. I know
what
what
you
you
mean.
mean.
It's just our own kind of thing. I think they might be bringing back Insurrection or Rebellion. You know, one of those ones.
But then that would go against what Drew said that it'll be, and not to knock those shows because they were fun, but they always felt like your not even B, D pay-per-view, you know what I mean? Like, not much happened. Bulldog won the hardcore title, lost it on Raw. Do you know what I mean? Like, not much else happened as far as, like, they felt like glorified house shows, as fun as they were, because of what was going on in the business at the time. So that doesn't align with what Drew has said. You know, like, I think what Drew is saying could be taken as a SummerSlam, but it's more likely, ironically, to be something like Extreme Rules or one of those kind of shows, you know, TLC. Maybe not such
I guess
one, but like basically a big show. Like, I think it'd be like a Saudi show.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Just bring back Insurrection then. It's already got the name value and like it's its own thing. Like, you know. Then for
me, someone needs to win a title and not lose it on Raw when it goes back.
Yeah, but the good thing is that there's loads of titles they can do that with now. Do you know what I mean? Like, they can, like United States Championship, you know, easily. That's the easy one, really. Could you just build up a Brit to just beat an American? Like, simple. Like, it's easy storytelling known to man.
I don't know.
As well with... Go on, sorry, mate.
Sorry, bro. I was gonna say, like, I just if we get it in the UK and there's a title change, it's either got to, and I don't want to be that guy, but it's got to be the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship to make it special. Anyone can win the United States. Anyone can win the IC. Like, if it's not one of the big two, then they kind of lose the ball with it.
Yeah, but they've had the title. They've had the double title change hands anyway, haven't they? In the UK, AJ won it over here.
Yeah, but like, if they're gonna brand this huge pay-per-view as a big, then it
You don't
has
want to
to
go to
be one of
pay-per-view
the
thinking,
matches.
"Oh, those titles aren't going to change hands because it's in another country." And
That's that shock value. Yeah,
he's not being pushed, you know. But the argument could be, had that the Saudi shows, and we're going to be covering the Saudi shows on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel as well, because exactly that they have become. To be fair, they started out as kind of insurrection rebellions, but then there's been these things going. And all the rumors of like, we just want this guy, we want this guy's not even alive anymore type things, all those rumors. They wanted all the superstars, and the Undertaker showed up and whatever else. Now we're looking at it and it's like, well, they do matter. There are title changes. So yeah, saying that maybe it will be the same case for the UK shows.
Potentially.
Comment here. Pete Dunne wins the WWE title in the UK. Who knows? A lot of rumors about Pete Dunne as it goes. Anyway, okay. With that being said, I think we're pretty much done on the conversation of WWE UK, and we're going to start wrapping up now.
Pete Dunne.
Hey, we're going to start wrapping up now as well. Just before we leave, guys, any final thoughts about Extreme Rules and what you're most looking forward to? First of all, we'll go with you, Robert. What are you most looking forward to tonight?
I mean, it's going to be one of those things. I'm kind of watch it tomorrow, in mid break and on the way to work and stuff. Right, so yeah. my viewing's going to be like chopped up. So I'm not looking forward to that. However, I am looking forward to Roman and Finn to see what happens. I think that's the one that really stands out for me, as I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm looking forward to match of the night, which is going to be Usos and Street Profits. That's got to be match of the night.
Yeah, I think I would probably agree with you, man. I think Usos and Street Profits looks like the most exciting match, because although I feel like a lot's probably going to happen in the Universal title and weapon shots and all that kind of thing being a kind of Extreme Rules match now, and probably some shenanigans with Brock, I do just feel like this has got B-show written all over it, and therefore not losing the title. And I don't think Roman should lose the title either. I just think it's unfortunate booking to put Demon in it. I know Lucas wouldn't agree because he's not the biggest fan anyway. But Lucas, what are you most looking forward to tonight?
Where is that match for? Did you see Finn lose?
Oh, mate. Okay, on that note,
heel turn completed.
Heel turn is complete now. I'm now evil, Lucas.
All right, well that's pretty much it. We'll wrap up now. Enjoy the pay-per-view tonight. Hopefully we will as well. Hopefully it'll be a good show. But join us tomorrow again. We'll be here 7:30 British Summer Time, 11:30 Pacific, and 12:30 a.m. Eastern as well. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Please subscribe. Check out more of our pro wrestling content on this channel and more Rebellious Noise content. All of our Rebellious Noise channels. Once again, thank you for everyone that's commented tonight. We really do appreciate it. These build-up shows are very, very fun to do because we're very laid back. Lucas gets to practice his Babe Station skills. We have a few beers, and we've got a masked crusader here as always. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow for the WWE Extreme Rules 2021 recap and review show. See you later, guys.
Ciao. Bye for now.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.